Hey guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow, guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. Today's little adventure is going to be this gentleman. This is a 442 built. Don't know who they are. Custom built for PM492 DX400V. This is built in the old, small ICA 2x4 cabinet enclosure. And the newer one's a little bit bigger. I like these little boxes. Not as much room, but... Okay, so the customer states, every time I use this, everybody tells me I sound like I'm on sideband. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. I've heard that before. I know what that means. And he goes, it just doesn't seem right to me. And I said, well, what do you mean, pray tell? And he goes, well, it just doesn't seem very well constructed. And I said, oh yeah? I can tell you what happened here. Somebody had themselves a 2879 Hunt Fest. They went in here and they pulled out all the 2879s and they did a shitty job when they did it. And then they put in their place a bunch of raggedy ass 2290s, one of which I think is a fake one. And as they put it back together, they gave zero shits on how they did it. And this is all set up for a 2879, the driver's section. Final section's all wrapped for 2879 and loaded for 2879. And then it's full of all these shitty Chinese Alibaba capacitors. The other thing is this output tuning capacitor. Way too small, as we can see up in there. It's creative. I've never seen somebody put the relay in upside down like this before, but it works. But the solder work in here is nothing short of deplorable, shameful, a sin, a call against all RF gods across the face of all planes of known man. This is a sin and a crime against man and humanity itself. So, our mission today, and the components that are in here are soldered down with like the most finest amount of solder that they could barely get in here. Like our tent over here. It's held in there with a Flecka Jizzly Jew. And this Jismly Jew, by the way. Oos. Jismly Juice. Same thing here. I dig this tiny little SMA surface mount that's sitting here. Got another one here. We're going to replace these. So my mission here today, which I am gladly going to take on, kind of like, oh my God, look at the porn star that's here. I've got to put it in her. We're going to take this mission on, and we're going to change this thing radically. There's certain things that are going on in here that don't make any sense to me, like the output transform or output turn count on the output transformers. Little wrong would be the best way to put it. But then they've got the right turn count for this over here. I don't know. We're going to go through and we're going to make this right. Probably going to pull these caps out. I'm probably going to just remove these output transformers because I want to see this guy succeed. So when we return, as always, there's going to be a pile of shit over here in a corner that we've taken out of this thing. And we're going to put into the FU bucket as we go. And we're going to build ourselves one low, mean, low to the ground, god-awful down, get down, mean, dirty bastard flipping 1x4 straight AM box. and it can go live with my buddy over in the northwest corner and lay waste to all the children and mass destruction across all the land and not be a splatterbox. I could hear the ham guys out there. It's your splatterbox. Listen, you guys always be hating on the amplifiers. 9 times out of 10, it's not the amplifier's fault. Okay? It's the radio going into the amplifier. Like we've proven many times on video that it's just not possible to. Well, I mean, it is possible. There's a couple of builders out there that have amazed me in their ability to be able to make something spectrally wide as possible, but that's not what we do here. So, let the teardown begin. All right. Let's see how well we can do here. Just got a phone with a very nice gentleman out of New York. And he's an essential worker, so he's still very busy, and so is his wife. But he says, man, shit is weird there. Okay. So a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, this is back before I knew anything about anything, but was walking around trying to pretend like I knew anything about something because I was trying to learn. Hey, come here. You don't need to go to the floor. I was walking around pretending like I knew something about something, but it was something and I didn't know something about anything. Still trying to figure out how to jerk one off in a corner. We had this X-Force amplifier. It was a 2x4. And it didn't matter what we did to it, it sounded like it was on sideband. All the time. And we didn't want to replace the transistors, because those are expensive. And I was running around with it in my tow truck as my test bed. And everybody's like, geez, you're hitting the hell out of me. I mean, you're really transmitting, but nobody can understand you. And it sounded muffled and off frequency, like it was on sideband. And that's the situation that we got going on here. I've only seen that one time. And we eventually ended up going and changing the transistors out on that amp. And it took off and ran. Now, I'd give good money these days to have those transistors back, because I'd want to put them on the equipment that I have now, understanding the things that I have in my brain now versus what I had 15 years ago. I'd really like to see what broke down on those transistors internally for us to have that kind of derivative effect. Now, we're not going to cover that in this video. I'm going to pull these 2290s out and we're going to get on with repairing it. But I'm going to mark these 2290s as flawed for the time being. And someday, when all this madness is over, and no, I'm not talking about the coronavirus, I'm talking about my current backlog of work over here. When this madness is over, I want to sit down and thoroughly review these transistors, because that's the problem that we're having here, and it sounds a lot like the problems that we were having with that X-Force 15 years ago. And it was a new box, but it had come to us from a truck driver, right? So that was back before any of us had any ability to call them guys and order anything. It was a different time. It wasn't like today. So who knows what had happened to that amplifier before it arrived in our hands. is the $16 million storyline here. God, these things are just put in here like garbage. So I got, come on, let me have it. Thank you. I got all the parts out of here that I want to take out for me to move on to the next step, which is turning the corner. Now, I removed all the Chinesium 230 puff capacitors that were here, and I replaced them with actual Cornell Dubler 1% 120 puff capacitors. Maybe they're 5%. So I know I measured them all so that I've got 4 drawers of 120. Okay. The only thing that matters is that all 4 of these capacitors are the same value. Are we going to see an operational difference between 121, 121, 121, 121, 119, 119, 119, 117, 117? No. They all have to be the same. That way the circuit reacts the same to each device. Now, are we going to see that much of a difference? Oh, dude. Calling me multiple times will not help me call you back any faster. I had a guy yesterday call me 14 times in a row. I still have no idea what he wanted because I just blocked his phone number. I'm not interested in having him as a customer. I'm not interested in finding out what he wants. No matter what he tells me, I don't care. Not interested. 14 times in a row will not get me to answer my phone. Never happen. Blocked. Goodbye. Text. Ignored. Goodbye. Okay. Let's take the driver pill out. So, because it's 2290 ain't gonna be enough to kick up the other 4 transistors to full chooch. I swear it's like this thing had 2879s in it. And somebody came through and they ripped the 2879s out. They put a bunch of 2290s in here and they're like, here you go. Okay. So that's where we're going to start. This is our blank slate. So before I go any further, I'm going to go wash this. And then I'm going to come back in. I'm going to reflow all the solder work that's in here. And we're going to make it look pretty. And then we're going to start assembling this back in reverse. First we'll put down our HG 2879s. I'm probably going to change this out too. Put our driver section in place. Put our driver section in place, get that all lined out. Then we'll do our power wire, output transformers. We're going to reuse these metal clads, these guys. And start putting this back together. I'm pretty sure we'll be done with this just here in a few hours. I hope, maybe, I pray. Sort of. Soon. Well, we're about halfway. We scooted back the relay. Okay, number one. Number two is we put real power wires going up here to the pill strips. Here in a minute, we're going to drop on brand new BBI made output transformers, which will help this box a ton. It's going to help us a ton. Then we're going to put new wire through the transformers. The output transformers are going to build new combiners, a new combiner for on the output side. We'll probably put a metal clad 70 puff to ground on the output side. The input side, we're going to build a new splitter, and then we'll put our 170 or 185 to ground here. And then we'll get a new 150. We'll tie this together. I replaced this heebie-jeebie coax, which has obviously got a splice right in the middle of it, with an uncut uniform piece of coax, so it'll be stable. And we'll come along and we'll do our final input tune over here, put a knob on the front of it, and we're going to replace our power wires. So about halfway. We did wash it. We got all the nasty old flux and little bits of solder and everything that were floating around on the inside of this from whoever went in here and butterfingered the snot out of this thing. Reflowed all of the pill strips and cleaned all that up. Cleaned out the pill sockets and put brand new HG 2879s in the holes. So we'll see where we go from here. We're going to put all new 5 watt 100 ohm flybacks in this thing. We're just going to build it upright so it's going to stand tall amongst all the other children and do its thing. We've got to come over here and add our 1000 puff caps and our disc capacitors and stuff. A little lump of capacitors, what I thought was one SMA, turned out to be multiples. Very carefully pull those off the board. I'm not a big fan of using SMAs in these circuits, especially when we're pushing them to get every little last drop of juice out of the transistors. We just haven't seen the reliability out of the unknown manufactured SMAs. They make surface mount capacitors that can handle this pressure. I don't believe those little tiny things are the ones. I added a couple more discs here. I'm going to add another disc here because, believe it or not, this little solder blurb here and this little solder blurb here is a capacitor, but it's a surface mount. So, all right, that's our halfway check-in. Now we're going to start seriously stacking parts, and this is going to radically look differently on the inside from this point forward. Well, I guess we should start here. This is a whole different animal than what it was when it came in here. Now, don't let your eyes be fooled. No, everything is literally slanted this direction. The way the original pill strips are cut, as you can clearly see here, there's like almost a finger's width worth of gap there. So literally everything is kind of kicked off at an angle. That's okay. It didn't negatively affect the performance all that much. Maybe 100 watts at the most. But this thing's right. It's got all the right parts in it. The only thing that we recycled was the output transformer in the one pill section here. We used the input transformer and these two input transformers. Everything else is new. Power distribution. We kicked the relay back. It's got Teflon wire throughout. New input and output transformer or splitters and combiners. Reattached our variable on the front. Made it so it actually works. That kind of thing. Let's go ahead and let's shut this down. Hello, audio. It's a 1000 watt slug here. 1000 watt slug in peak, 1000 in bird average, whatever. Hello, and a 5 watt slug in reverse back from the bird 10,000 watt dummy load. Hello, audio, 1 2 1 2. Hello, hello, hello. About 925 watts. Let's go up here. We'll take a quick look at our input tune. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, audio. Now, the major issue that we're having to address As a customer states that every time he go to hook this box up, nobody could understand him. Well, let's hook up some third-party talkback. Hello, 1 2. Hello, 1 2 1 2. Hello, audio 1 2 1 2. Audio. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2. 1 2. Hello, come in. Let's see, what are we set? 10 kcs wide at the moment. Hello, audio 1 2. So we're occupying roughly the bandwidth that we should. It's not a splatter box. Simply proven just by looking at it on the waterfall. It's got audibles, as in like we can hear it and it makes good sounds. So now, the only variable left in the equation is this guy, the fan. So give me a second, let's get the fan hooked up and let's check it for airflow and let's make sure that the electronics don't get wiped out. We're on a new high power amplifier that does more than like 45 watts. So it showed up and it had 2 screws in it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to replace all the screws. Now, if I was the customer, after watching this video, and listen to the words that come out of my mouth, this thing is just barely moving enough air to maybe kind of keep this cool on Sunday mornings. I mean, just barely. So, moral of the story is, tighten this up a little bit more. Hello. I'm not trusting this fan for shit, but at the end of the day, hello, audio, audio, 1 2. It works. Hold on a second. I had the shop door hanging wide open and my neighbor decided he just gotta start doing his yard work right now. Moral of the story is it works and it's gonna continue working, but listen to the fan. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. I would probably replace this with a new fan if it was up to me. Honest engine. Probably strongly consider replacing this with a new fan. So here is all the parts that we replaced out of that box. And 90% of these Chinesium capacitors are going to go directly in the trash. The 2290s that come out of here, I want to study those. But at the end of the day, the amp is all in one piece. It's making roughly the right amount of power it needs to make. It's consuming the right amount of amperage that it needs to consume. And it's working. I'm tired. It's been a long day. Not from this, but from other things. It's just been a busy day. So I'm going to fold up shop, and that's all you're going to get out of me for this afternoon. Phone rang quite a bit. Just busy. And everybody wants to know why I don't have mechanical latches on these. I've had all kinds of input about these. Let me explain to you something, guys. That's why. If there's a problem, I want to be able to quickly disconnect. And my little spring-loaded clampies work great. So, on that note, gentlemen, I'm going to go. Just like sticking your pecker in a frickin' thing. When you were 12 years old, it was tight, and out it would come. Ain't the same now that we're all in our 40s and our 50s and our 60s. I'm here to tell you what. But at least our shit's still working. Okay, I'm gonna run. You guys be good. On to the next project I go, which I think is an LA 900 or a Texas Star. Another Texas Star. Imagine that. A Texas Star 500. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon. Bump up. See you. Bye.